Good day, everyone. So last time I was talking about seedlings. Not sure if you followed up and did any. Mine actually did not work out so well this year. So I have gone back to plan B, which was to buy some seedlings from some farmers markets. I actually just picked some up from Paul. So we're planting some of his stuff again this year. Depending on what you want to grow. I have a large plot this year, and I actually have gone through in this pre-stage of weather getting better, actually making more room. I moved into this new place last year and kind of made do and cleaned up what I could, and this year it's been, why not clean up a bit more and fine-tune some things. I have fixed up my water system. I picked up some more compost, a new compost system last year, so just bringing these things more into play. I will show you, let's see what we got here. So here's some of the babies here that are going to be going in soon, very soon. This is kind of like what cleanup looks like. It's going to be a lot of mess, a lot of cleanup. Here's some more there. And really it's just about figuring out, getting in touch with your land, seeing where you want to plant things, what is in the way, maybe what has been there beforehand. Here's some more babies here. These are the ones from Paul. I spoke about composting briefly. So I have 3 systems on the go right now. This is a pretty typical just kitchen compost. Stuff goes in there, and either I can put it in the big compost, or I also have this amazing system called the Bokashi. Basically, you put the green bin in there, and there's this, I guess it's like a bran essentially, and you put it on top and it turns into a compost tea, and here's a nozzle, and you can help fertilize your plants. So there's that. I'm going to be jumping around a bit as we walk through, so bear with me. Some of the things I have done back here, these 2 raised beds have not been touched yet. There are a bunch of new tomatoes growing here, so I'm trying to let them grow a bit more. I will pull them out and put them in a planter to see what happens. So I have not turned any of the soil. This is another big prep thing, is prepping your soil. That's why I spoke about the water, that's why I spoke about the compost. Good soil, good crop. That being said, there can still be mistakes. Not mistakes, trial and error we'll call it. Certain plants like certain soils. Certain plants like certain light and shade. And it may take a little bit of time to figure out what works for you where, and what prep goes into it. So also, speaking of getting soil right, I have some old coffee grounds here that I will be putting in some plants like tomatoes, like some acidic soil. So yeah, I have put a few things in planters thus far. The mint is still growing from last year. Tomatoes new, and that is some sweetgrass I have there. I have some strawberries that I brought inside. They have not really done, they're like hanging on by a thread. However, there have been some runners that have now implanted into the garden. However, I think it's the squirrels and or raccoons love them. So this is one of the challenges with planting outside in a open area, especially I'm near High Park, so there is plenty of fauna around this neighborhood who like to eat what I like to eat. I think it's a good sign that if your animals are eating what you're growing, you're doing something right. So that being said, back on the soil. So this side here has been done. One of the things about starting with a bit of a late growth here, these chives have grown over the winter, or survived over the winter, and now have really blossomed into the springtime here. One with this soil here, I have dug it up and turned it, added some of the compost from the big bin here I'll get to, and yeah, it's ready to go. I've got some beans in. These guys did make it from the seedling growth, although they're hanging on by a thread right now, so I actually bought backup beans in case. This is the larger system here. This opens up, compost is in there. So I've been digging that out and working with that in the garden. This half of the garden has not been touched yet, and it's gone pretty wild. This is mugwort and raspberries that were planted last year that have spread a lot. That over there is some marshmallow. So all of this here, see what's growing back? This is wild arugula, wild rocket. This is more so the regular stuff, but all this baby stuff poking up, I'll have to figure out what to do with it. I grew it last year. Actually, it was native to the grounds here, and I moved it into the beds. So, and now it's kind of spread like wildfire. So I got to figure out what to do with that. And going across, so yeah, there's still, I haven't turned any of this soil yet, and some of the plants are making a slow comeback. So like this, the lavender here, chop it for the winter time, let it die out, and then there is new green growth happening. So sometimes it takes a bit of time for these old plants to get growing again. We've been pretty blessed with some beautiful weather recently, so I'm noticing a lot of things growing here right now. But things like this was some time. I don't think it made it. I could trim it and see there could be a bit of growth at the bottom here, but for the most part, it's not looking good. So I'll be digging that up. I will be cleaning up this half. One of the big projects I had this last few weeks, this is nettle. That's booming right now, early growth. Echinacea, tulip, some lilies that will be coming in. This here is a sage plant that I've had for 4 years that I brought with me, and I'm hoping there's a bit of green in it, but I don't know if it's gonna really survive. We'll see. This is the beauty of life. Sometimes you win some, you lose some. And all of this is really just an ongoing experiment and practice to grow with the goals of feeding yourself, feeding friends, or even just understanding what it takes to grow things. For me, it's been really empowering. Yeah, so whatever you're getting out of this and what you want to put into this, finding out what your why is might be helpful to get through these tougher times, and when things are challenging, the things are dying, or it's just a lot of like sweat equity. I've been out here turning soil and redigging this whole bit out, which was full of rocks. So this is all new. I have not added any compost yet to this area, but I will. And then this was the other project this early spring, was setting up the water system here. So last year I had just the blue bin out with the large pipes, eaves trough running into that. So I wanted to free up some more space here. So I have patched the brown one, had a crack in the bottom, so it's now fixed. I got this flexible tube from the eaves here, this downspout, to run into this bin, and I have hooked up a hose. Now, trial and error, this is one of those extendable hoses. I don't know if there'll be enough water pressure to actually make this work, so I may have to buy a new hose. That being said, this hose will not be wasted because I do have regular input there for water. So as much as I can be speaking here in a way of I have done this now, this is my 9th season of gardening, I'm always learning, I'm always practicing, I fail and I learn from the failures. A lot of the ideas around having a green thumb is really just practice and doing the thing, trying it, seeing what works. And it might change if you move from place to place, whether it's the actual soil or if you're growing, say, on a balcony in pots. Typically, pots need a lot more attention. They will dry out super quick. Plants need a lot more soil than we may realize. The ground is the most forgiving. So if you have some space, I invite you to utilize it. So with that said, this has all been turned this way. I do need to add some compost. And here, some blueberries growing. These plants were put in last year. And you can see all these this is how these blueberries will fill out these spots. So I'm excited to see what happens this year. It's gonna be drying out pretty quick. I'll have to get some water on them. Yeah, so this was some Russian sage. My white buffalo sage did not make it over the winter, unfortunately. Some strawberries I planted that are taking root and moving around. We'll see how long they make it before the animals eat it. This area here has been also turned but not composted. So today I'm gonna be composting. I will be planting on that other side there. And yeah, getting things rolling. We are in perfect time right now. Typically, for us in this area, in Toronto-ish area, May 2-4 is kind of the weekend to start really thinking about planting and getting things in the ground. We still had a stretch of fairly cold nights around like 6 degrees, 9 degrees at times, but going forward, we're looking pretty solid. I know there's some 20-degree days coming up. I think there's a 30-degree day coming up. So anytime you're in this nice heat, last frost was May 4th, so we're clear for frost, but for having plants thrive, warm, sunny, some of this spring rain is perfect to help things really get going. Yeah, the other big goal and focus for me is figuring out what I want to plant, where I want to plant it. I will be making some changes compared to last year. So it's just thinking about companion planting. Again, I mentioned earlier about what plants like or thrive better in shade, which ones need full sun, which ones need rich or damp soil, which ones can thrive in more sandy or loomy soil. There's a lot of variables at work. So you'll be on this journey along with me here, and you'll be on your own, hopefully. So keep at it. Any questions, we are here for it. Yeah, so I'm gonna be leaving it there for now. Get your soil ready, clear out old debris, old plants, and turn the soil. Right now is the time. And if you have some sort of composting, add to that soil, let those nutrients basically nourish the soil, and yeah, get things in the ground. Until next time.